never comply with her ultimatums. So if your girl is giving you these ultimatums like, you better do this or else, or you better stop doing this, or I'm gonna leave, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm not gonna come home. If she's giving you any of these types of ultimatums, you have to understand where this is coming from. Because if your girl is at a point where she is lacking a basic amount of respect for you enough to not do that to you, right? If you've gotten to a point in your relationship where your girl is starting to treat you like a little boy, right? I mean, because you think about it, who was the last person to give us ultimatums? It was like our parents, right? Remember? It was probably your parents. Nobody else gives you ultimatums, right? Even your boss is just not going to give you an ultimatum. He'll usually just give you a warning and then fire you, right? But the last person to give you an ultimatum was likely your parents. And this is what I can't stand about seeing certain guys in certain relationships. Like if I'm out and about and I see these guys at a Costco or a Target, and that 5'2", 200-pound tyrant that they married is talking down to them like a little boy and yelling at him and giving him ultimatums and like, oh, look at your shirt, yeah, don't eat that hot dog and blah blah. Or worse, when I'm at like a clothing store and I see the guy's wife picking out his clothes and putting the shirt on him to see if it looks good on him. I'm like, dude, where are your balls? Where are your balls, right? Anytime a woman gives me an ultimatum, I'm done, right? If you're gonna sit there and tell me you better do this or else, done. Okay? I don't need to hear that. I mean, I don't even take ultimatums from my parents anymore, and I didn't even really do it back then. I am not gonna do it now as a grown adult. And it's really crazy how you see a lot of these marriages play out where the guy turns into a little boy all over again, right? You have to ask permission to go out. You have to ask the boss, right? Ask your wife. Like, can I go out with the guys just for a little bit? Or, oh, can I sneak off to the gym? It's just gonna be for an hour. Oh, I'm gonna take the car, is that okay? It's like, what are you, a little boy all over again? You know, and this is what scares a lot of guys off from marriage, especially these days. And it can't be like that. And you know what? When you act like that, your wife is never gonna respect you. Okay, she's never gonna respect you. I'm not saying to be a complete dickhead in these relationships and just come and go as you please and do whatever you want. Well, in a way I am saying that, but you know, but doing it with the proper frame, right? Doing it with the proper frame. And as I teach you guys, especially in my pickup programs, frame is everything, right? You have to set the frame from the very beginning, and then you have to maintain that frame, right? Especially when you're in a LTR with some girl, you know, and God forbid a marriage, right? You have to maintain frame. And the second you start slipping, right, she's gonna start pushing. She's gonna see how far she can push, because women are just designed by nature to constantly test our boundaries, right? They're just designed to do it, right? And sometimes you might just need to take space away from her. Doesn't necessarily mean, you know, if you're like, say you're married to her, this is not a reason to go get a divorce or anything like that. It's much easier to walk away if you're just dating each other, especially just casually. You're not even boyfriend, girlfriend. You could just walk away. I walk away from those relationships all the time. As soon as the girl starts acting up, I'm just done. I'm out of there, right? I don't have that much investment in this. No, I'm out, right? But obviously the more investment you have with the girl, the more you're gonna have to, you know, kind of give and take, but maintaining frame at the same time, right? It's kind of a balancing act, but you never want it to get to the point where she is sitting there talking to you as if you're a child, as if you're like a helpless child who can't think for yourself, who can't do anything without her help, who's gonna be, you know, completely lost without her. You know, you don't want her looking at you that way. And unfortunately, a lot of like these movies and television shows, especially the past decade plus, right, have really kind of portrayed men that way, as if like we're just helpless and just like, oh, we need a woman's help, we can't operate the barbecue without her, right? Even in that Star Wars movie, like, what was it, Han Solo, he couldn't even operate his own ship, the Millennium Falcon, that he's been flying for what, like 3 decades. He didn't know where a button was, and then like, oh, the girl had to rescue you. Like, that button's stupid. It's like, well, you know, can you blame certain guys for acting that way? You know, being raised by the blue pill on all these ridiculous blue pill values and beliefs. I mean, that's why we have this red pill content, guys. That's what it's here for. It's for you to absorb it, right? And apply it into your life. So, not to get too far off topic, if your wife is pulling the ultimatum card on you, I mean, that's really no different than compromising, right? When your wife starts, you're not even just your wife, but your girlfriend, your dating partner, when it's constantly compromise, as I've said a number of times, the more you have to compromise with your dating partner, the more likely it is that you chose the wrong dating partner. Okay, and this goes for friendships too. Let's take this beyond women. I mean, the more you have to compromise, like with even your guy friends, right? The more likely it is that you chose the wrong friends. Okay, because like relationships that are on the same wavelength are just very effortless, right? They're just things just go really smooth. It's like, hey man, let's go eat tacos today. Oh dude, I love tacos. Let's do that. You know, we both love Mexican food. Or hey man, let's go to the gym. It's Wednesday. Oh dude, I always go to the gym on Wednesday. Let's go. You know, it's like everything just flows. But when you're with somebody who is the complete opposite, that's when you're constantly just going to be butting heads. It's like, hey, I want to go to the gym, lift weights. Well, I want to go hiking. It's like, shit, I don't like to hike though. Well, then we need to compromise. Maybe we go hiking one week and then you can lift weights the other week. It's like, no, I want to lift weights every week if I want to lift weights, right? I'm kind of like that. I dated a few girls not that long ago that were just like, they love to hike. And you know what? There are guys out there that love to hike too, but I'm not one of them. That's not how I like to exercise. You know, there's other things I'd rather be doing. It's like, well, take your dogs. You know, take your dogs. The dogs, you could go hiking. So no, it's like, no, I like to just take my dogs for walks at the dog park because then they get to see other dogs and whatnot. I don't really want to run them in the mountains and stuff like that. They're not those type of dogs, right? I mean, I had a Doberman, you know, over 10 years ago. Her name was Mary, like Merry Christmas. That would have been a different scenario. Like, yeah, we could do that. But these days, no, it doesn't really work for me. So yeah, a couple of girls I dated, they're really into hiking, especially in LA. There's a place called Runyon Canyon, which is actually a pretty nice hike. It's just not something I'm really into, at least at this point in my life. There are just other things I'd rather do if I want to exercise, right? I'd rather just hit the weights. You know, if I want to take my dogs out, I'd rather just go to the dog park because I like them seeing other dogs and I like chatting with other dog owners and socializing. I don't want to like run up this canyon in 100-degree weather, you know, and make my dogs huff and puff and then coming back all sweaty. And that's just not my idea of fun. Right? So I told this one girl I was seeing, I was like, you know, this was a big deal to her. So I'm like, hey, this is not something I like to do. So I set that from the get-go, even before I had sex with her, right? Even before I had sex with her, I was like, it's not something I like to do. You know, I set the frame. She had sex with me anyway, and then the relationship didn't pan out just because we had so many differences. But I didn't try to make it work. She was like, yeah, we're just too different. I'm like, yeah, we are. That's fine, right? And also, she was kind of a homebody, and I kind of like to go out a lot, right? She was like, well, you're like always partying and are always in these clubs. And I'm like, hey. I'm like, I teach pickup. I'm a pickup instructor. So yeah, I'm out there in these venues and stuff. And you know, I'm like, it's what I do. And she was like, well, I like staying home a lot. So yeah, we were just very opposite. We just had a lot of differences. Didn't even like the same type of movies or the same type of music. And I'm like, yeah, this isn't really going to go anywhere. She didn't like the same type of food I liked. She liked like seafood, and I don't eat seafood. I'm allergic to seafood. So it's like little things like that. I mean, hey, great looking girl. I mean, if this was 10, 15 years ago, I would have made myself like seafood. I would have like made myself like hiking. But these days, I mean, I know who I am and I want to be who I am, right? I don't want to be hit with any ultimatums later on down the line. Like, hey, I want to go hiking. You said that you would compromise. Like, no, I told you I don't like hiking. I told you that, hey, it's not something I want to do, right? Maybe sometime in the future, I don't know, maybe my habits will change. But right now, it's not something that interests me. Right? Just like seafood. I'm allergic to it. I don't think I'm ever going to eat it. So yeah, we just have too many differences. Right? And we had different like paths and like kind of just different ideas about life too. And I think she was still looking to have a kid, like have children. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. I don't have any kids. So I'm like, I think I'm okay with just like raising animals. So yeah, we were just way different. But a lot of you guys, you just push forward because you're in such scarcity with these girls. Like, you think like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to replace my girl, or I'm never going to be able to find another girl who likes me like this girl does. And then you just kind of push forward to try to make it work. And then, of course, I mean, the girl, if she likes you, she'll just go for it, right? And then next thing you know, she gets pregnant. Oh, now she wants to get married. You get married, and then next thing you know, here she is, hitting you with the ultimatums, treating you like a little boy, because you guys didn't really have much in common to begin with, right? And not only that, worse than that, you did not maintain your frame, okay? Because clearly, if you're trying to push forward with this girl and you really don't have much in common with her, I mean, you're really just pushing aside your own likes, dislikes, values, and beliefs to please her and to be with her, because you don't think you could find somebody else, right? And it's always a recipe for disaster, guys, because that's how you end up seeing these guys, you know, at the Target or Costco with this 5'2", 200-pound tyrant, just treating this guy like crap, like garbage, right? I never want to see any of you in that position, right? This is why I teach you guys, you always have to have an abundance mentality and just realize, like, hey, everybody's replaceable, right? Everybody's expendable, to be honest with you. I mean, even if you're a guy in your 50s and 60s, you don't think you could replace, you know, your woman? Yeah, you can, right? Yeah, you can. I mean, obviously, if you've been married to the same woman for 40 years, just stick that out, man. You know, I'm not telling you to go get a divorce and replace her with some young hottie. If you've been married that long, you have grandkids and everything, you know what? Stick it out. You're probably happy, right? But for other guys who don't have that much invested yet, right? Maybe they haven't even gotten married yet. You know, you still have a choice, right? And for you guys who are married, who have kids, have family, you can't get out of it, you're with this girl and you do want to make it work, and she's giving you these ultimatums, that is when you have to rediscover your frame and who you are. You know, maybe you even need to take some time to yourself and just be away from her, right? Do that, but you need to make a change, because you got to stop this behavior. You got to nip this shit in the bud with her, like, giving you these ultimatums. It's ridiculous, right? A grown man should not be getting hit with ultimatums from his woman or his wife. Like, oh, mister, if you don't do this, no sex tonight. Oh, like, I can't believe some of you guys are in these sexless marriages, man, and your wife is withholding sex from you in exchange for doing chores. You know what we call that? We call that transactional sex, which is a type of sex you should never, ever have. Because there's two types of sex that you could have with a woman, right? Validational sex and transactional sex. Never, ever have transactional sex with a woman, you know? That is the lowest value, most blue pill, most beta type of sex that you could possibly have with a woman, where it's like there's an exchange going on, where whether it's monetary, whether there's money involved, or there's a, you know, like if you're in a house, like a chore involved, right? If it's like something that's physical. If she's like, unless you take Robbie to practice, to baseball practice and to Little League, and then you vacuum the house and take out the trash and wash the cars and fill them up with gas, I'm not having sex. Done. Right? That's when you need to take a, you know, you need to exit yourself from the house for a while and take a break, and you need to rediscover your frame and then come back and actually be the man of that household. Right? Assuming you're married, you need to become the man of that household again. And if you're not married and you're just in a relationship with your girlfriend and she's treating you like shit, you know what? You have a choice. You can walk away, right? You can easily walk away. You're not married to her, you know, unless you have kids, and then you are kind of tied to her, and you know you're gonna have to see her, right? And if you're in that position, really you can't walk away. But what you can do is you can rediscover your frame, and you can come back at her, or just kind of ghost her for a little bit, then come back and be like, hey, you know what? I've been doing some thinking, and you know what? You're not going to talk to me like that anymore. I am not going to allow you to talk to me like that anymore. And if you do, there's no relationship here. We are done, right? You could throw that ultimatum right back at her. You could give her her own ultimatum, right? Just don't put up with it. Don't put up with that shit, fellas. Right? Don't put up with it. Remember what I said. Frame is something that has to be established from the very get-go. right? You have to establish that respect from the very get-go. And then after that, it has to be maintained. And you know what? With some people, it will be easier than others, right? Some people are just easy like that, right? I've dated some girls they kind of test me every once in a while, just like a little bit here and there. It's not a big deal. It's nothing major. It's something that I could pass in my sleep. But with other girls, it's like constant test. Constant push to see where the boundaries are. It's constant shit testing, constant like mouthing off. And it's like, it just gets to the point where it's like they're more trouble than they're worth, right? At the end of the day, that's what I teach you guys too, is like, how do you know when it's time to let somebody go? When they become more trouble than they're worth. When they are zapping you of energy, when they are distracting you away from your own life, your own hobbies, your own goals, your friends, things you need to do. You're constantly just feeling mentally and physically exhausted from dealing with them. That's when it's time to let them go, And when chicks start giving like ultimatums like that, I don't have kids with any of these girls. I'm not married to any of them, so it's easy for me to just bounce. I'm like, okay, no problem, And I don't try to hurt them or anything like that in the process. I'm just like, okay, well, this isn't gonna work. See ya. Right? That's what it is. I'm like, it's not gonna work. See ya. But some of you don't have that freedom because you do have children with these women, or you might be married to them. You might have a house together, a mortgage, all this other stuff. It's not that easy to walk away because, I might get some guys in comments like, don't be a little bitch, just dump her ass. It's like, well, that's not so easy when you're married to the person and you've got the state involved and you've got a home together and you've got bank accounts that are joined together. You've got these joint bank accounts and you've got a mortgage you're paying together. It's not that easy to just walk away. But you know what you can do again is you can leave for a little while, right? You could clear your head. Take a little vacation by yourself, a little mini vacation, spend time away from her, and then come back with a fresh perspective where you've renewed who you are. You've rediscovered your masculinity, so to speak, right? You've rediscovered your frame, and now you're ready to exercise it in your relationship like you should have been the entire time. Because had you been doing that, your relationship wouldn't have gotten to the point where now you're dealing with all these ultimatums from your girl. So anyway, that's all I'm gonna say for tonight's coaching video. I'm about to go through this car wash here. Got this Prius ahead of me, go figure. All right, and I normally don't like taking the Range Rover through the car wash, but I just don't have time today, man. I've got so much to do and I'm shooting these coaching videos for you, so I can go through the car wash. So until next time, this is M from the 33 Secrets. Don't forget to smash that like button below. Actually, you know what I want you guys to do? I want you to destroy that like button. Destroy that like button below. Also hit that notification bell right next to it so you're notified whenever I release a brand new coaching video here on the YouTube. And more importantly, guys, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to keep getting all of this red pill content, this red pill knowledge. You need it. Trust me, you've had a lifetime of blue pill indoctrination your entire life, and we need to give you the antidote to that. And the antidote to that is all this red pill content that you're going to be learning here on my channel. So you want to make sure that you are subscribed. Okay, make sure you're subscribed to the 33 Secrets. Okay, and we've got a great tribe going here. If you read the other comments from other guys like yourself below, you'll see that a lot of these guys have been where you've been before, and you'll be able to relate to a lot of these guys. Got a lot of high value guys who follow my work, and I want you to connect with them, and I really want to build this tribe out. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure you drop some comments below as well. Okay?